In this video, we'll be looking at a very active weather pattern. The storm system is going to form later this week and affect most of the country. After that, more storm systems are on the horizon and could be impactful to some areas. The storm system later this week has potential to bring some severe weather to parts of the south. Damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes are all possible. The Storm Prediction Center has already issued a slight risk for these areas. Stay tuned for the newest update. Hello everybody, Will here, back again to talk about the weather. This week's big story, we got a big storm system that's going to form later in the week. It's going to bring snow to parts of the central United States, and unfortunately, on the southern end of things, there's going to be a severe weather threat. Damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes, all of them are possible. The threat for severe weather seems to be rising, and it looks like it could be pretty significant. There's a lot of wind energy in the air. The only thing limiting this is instability, but lately, a couple of the models have been trending that up just a bit. If that instability gets pretty high, we could be in big trouble. Anyways, after that, the storm system is going to move up through the northeast, and on its way out, it could bring some very strong winds, talking 50 to 60 miles an hour across parts of the northeast coast. More on that in a bit. Anyways, let's get into the video. Well, right now we're starting off the period pretty quiet, not a whole lot going on. We did just have quite a bit of snow up here in this area. This little system offshore overperformed. It was supposed to only bring a couple inches of snow, ended up bringing almost a foot to some spots. This really shows how small changes in a storm can really affect the outcome from it. Other than that, we got some rain showers and some light snow over on the west coast, up in Washington and parts of Oregon. But aside from that, there's not really a whole lot going on across the country right now. This will quickly change though. So as you go through this afternoon into overnight, that system starts to come on shore a bit more. And this area over here, this trough, is going to be our storm system. You got some light snow in parts of the Rockies and parts of the Sierra Nevada. A little bit of light rain here and there. Going through Tuesday into Wednesday, that surface low starts to form out in New Mexico, and it all starts coming together. Moisture comes up from the Gulf, that cold air is coming down, where overrides you start getting wintry precipitation, and on the southern end of things, heavy rain and even a severe weather threat. As we go later into the day, Thursday, the storm system continues to strengthen. A lot of ice and snow on the northern end of things, and a pretty significant severe weather threat on the southern end of things, where that instability and moisture is just a bit higher and more favorable. Going through later Thursday into Friday, it slides up to the northeast, bringing quite a bit of snow to parts of Michigan, Indiana, some ice to Ohio maybe, and then it goes up to the northeast, and these areas right in here could get some very high winds as this system departs. And then it finally gets on out of here as we go into the weekend. After that, there's a little clipper system up along the Great Lakes region, but nothing much at this time. Should be a pretty nice weekend for most people. So going to Sunday, another storm system starts to come on shore, coming into the Pacific Northwest, bringing some snow. Some of it could be heavy in spots, and some light rain to parts of Washington, Oregon, Idaho. This continues to come on shore Sunday, and it dives to the south, and another storm system starts to form across the U.S. Kind of looks similar to this one. You got that low pressure down in New Mexico, Gulf moisture coming up, some snow on the northern end, and maybe a severe weather threat on the other end. However, this storm's still another week out, so we'll focus on the storm later this week because that is closer. However, I'll mention this other storm a little bit more toward the end of the video. First, we'll talk about the wintry side of the storm, the timing and amounts expected. This is still very subject to change, but it'll give a general idea of what's going on. So as we go into late Wednesday into early Thursday, a little bit of freezing rain starts to break out across parts of Kansas up into parts of Missouri and Illinois. And then this is where it really starts ramping up as we get later into Thursday. More moisture gets thrown over into that cold air, more freezing rain starts to break out. Central Missouri up through central Illinois up into parts of Indiana could see some significant ice accumulations from this. And then just to the north of that, there could be a band of heavier snow back all the way into Oklahoma. Going into Thursday evening, some heavy snow to end things in Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. And it starts to slide out of here as we get into your Friday morning. Snow totals, anywhere from 5 inches to close to a foot of snow in some spots. There's going to be this very thin, heavy band of snow just on the northern side of the ice. And areas under that band could get anywhere from 5 inches to over a foot of snow in some spots. The exact location of this band might change. It might be more in this area. It might be a little more in this area. But somewhere in this general area is going to see over a foot of snow. It just depends whether or not you get under that heavy band. But right now, central, north central Missouri, central Illinois, northwest to north central Indiana, you guys could get anywhere from 5 inches to over a foot of snow in some spots. Also, northern Oklahoma, you might get a few inches too. Meanwhile, the Rocky Mountains, you're getting anywhere from a few inches to a foot depending on your elevation. Pretty typical for this time of year. Now if we look at ice, no one wants ice, but there's going to be a few spots that could receive more than a quarter inch of ice. Biggest concerns right now, anywhere from central to south central Missouri, maybe parts of Indiana and Illinois. It shouldn't be as heavy there. And then parts of Ohio possibly. This isn't going to be anything like that ice storm a couple weeks ago, but there could be some spotty power outages, especially in these areas of heavier ice accumulation. Sleet shouldn't be too big of a deal. There could be a couple places that pick up half an inch to an inch of sleet. However, it's either going to be rain or snow mainly, with some freezing rain in the middle. Alright, so next we're going to shift over and talk about the severe weather threat for parts of the south. So it all really starts to come together Wednesday afternoon. Showers and thunderstorms start to develop across portions of Oklahoma and Texas. Some of these could be strong to severe. There's some instability in place, and there's a lot of wind shear from this storm. However, the bigger threat starts later Wednesday into Thursday. They start to form into this line down from eastern Oklahoma through eastern Texas, parts of Louisiana and Arkansas, almost down to the Gulf Coast. Right now, this radar image doesn't really reflect the strength of these storms. It just gives an idea of where the precipitation is going to be. But this is Thursday at 6 a.m., so this is going to be an overnight event for people that live around this area. The timing is subject to change a bit, but at some point during this event, there's going to be severe thunderstorms ongoing at night. So if you live in these areas, be sure to pay close attention to the timing of these storms. You don't want to sleep through a tornado warning or something like that. And be sure to have all your alerts on. As we go into Wednesday afternoon, it starts to shift to the east, gets Louisiana, starts moving into Mississippi, and it really shows these ideas of some cells out ahead of this line, and these cells would have the highest potential for tornadoes. Don't pay attention to the exact location, this is just to give an idea, but if these cells were to form ahead of the line, they could definitely cause some problems. And then Thursday afternoon, it shifts out of here and kind of weakens as it moves away from the best dynamics for severe weather. Instability is still questionable. It could be a little bit higher, could be a little bit lower. If it's higher, our severe weather threat is going to go up quite a bit. For Wednesday early morning into the afternoon, the highest instability looks to be from central Oklahoma down into northern Texas and parts of central Texas. And this is where severe weather will be most likely. And then as we go later into Thursday, this instability shifts to the east a bit, and these higher values move into Arkansas and Louisiana. And then eventually they move over into Mississippi, where the models want to show those cells developing out ahead of the line. And with favorable wind fields, that is something to definitely keep an eye on. Another thing I want to point out is the wind fields. This is for Thursday into the early morning. And in Louisiana, you got this southerly wind at the surface, but if you go up into the atmosphere, the winds are coming more out of the west. So you got winds coming from the south, and then you got winds coming from the west and the southwest. And this change in wind with direction causes some spin in the atmosphere, and this could eventually lead to possible tornadoes. Same out ahead of this in Mississippi. There's a lot of favorable dynamics to have severe weather, including the potential of tornadoes. This is just something to watch right now, as it will change, but there are favorable dynamics for some severe weather. The only thing that's really in question is the amount of instability. It's very, very low through here. With the amount of wind shear, there's still a good threat for tornadoes, but if this instability was any higher, this could be a pretty big event. It's just something to keep an eye on. If these trends up, we gotta look out, but we'll keep an eye on these for now. The last thing I want to talk about is some potentially high winds in the northeast as we go later in the week. So right now we got that system moving out, bringing some gusty winds offshore. But as that main system that produces severe weather in the south moves up to the northeast, these wind speeds really start to crank. This is for late Thursday and early Friday morning, and the GFS is suggesting anywhere from 40 to 60 mile an hour gusts, pretty widespread. And it's been showing this consistently too. And here's a look at the European model. It's not as strong. It still gives a general idea of widespread 40 to 50, perhaps even 60 mile an hour winds across the northeast. Something to monitor, because winds like this could cause some damage. But if you're in the northeast, it might be pretty windy on Friday. One more thing I have to show you guys is the official Storm Prediction Center outlook. For Wednesday, they currently have a slight risk from Oklahoma into northern Texas into western Arkansas, as well as extreme northwest Louisiana, surrounded by a marginal risk in areas just outside of that. On Thursday, the threat expands a bit more to the east, much of Louisiana, a lot of Arkansas, pretty much all of Mississippi, most of Alabama, and a lot of western Tennessee. And they also mentioned in their discussion that if those instability trends go a little bit higher, they might issue an enhanced risk, which is a level higher. So the big thing here is to watch those instability values. If they go up, our severe weather threat goes up. but we still have a decent risk at this time. Anyways, that's all I got for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, be sure to click that like button and subscribe. Share to your family and friends. It'd be much appreciated. Try my best to get important information out there without, hyping it up and making a big stink out of everything. I just want to get straight down to the facts and share them with people, make them aware, and also teach you guys something if I can. So anyways, like I said, thank you for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow in another update on this storm.